The rain in Oakhaven's lower districts felt like a suggestion, not a sensation. The neural net, ever present, subtly adjusted sensory input, transforming dampness into melancholic ambience. It was Tuesday, and the net was likely running a low-level emotional smoothing protocol, counteracting midweek fatigue. Kalen, a broker in the Echo Bazaars, didn't mind the rain. He minded the smoothing. It made the desperation of his clientele harder to read. Echo Bazaars were sprawling, semi-legal markets where neural signatures of peak experiences were bought, sold, and rented. In a world where the net could read and write directly to the brain, reality was a commodity. Why master the cello when you could rent a virtuoso's performance? Why risk a broken neck bass jumping when you could buy the adrenaline spike, the wind, the euphoric relief, all from your pod? His heart rate is elevated, Kalen. Cortisol levels are spiking. Alara, Kalen's personalized internal companion, murmured in his mind. Alara wasn't the net. She was a localized construct, a buffer and analytical tool Kalen had coded himself. The net allowed such companions, likely finding them useful for organizing human thought into digestible data streams. Kalen sat across from Vance, a twitchy man in a dimly lit noodle shop. Vance was an echo, a derogatory term for the lower class who could only afford recycled, second-hand memories. The elite, the originals, lived novel lives, generating pristine neural signatures they sold for exorbitant sums. Vance, like most of Kalen's clients, lived on the scraps. "I need something strong, Kale," Vance whispered, eyes darting. "The net's been pushing a contentment loop all week. I feel like I'm wrapped in cotton. I need a spike. Something real." "Real is expensive, Vance," Kalen said. "I have a third-generation skydive." The net smoothed out the terror, so it's mostly just the rush now. Very clean. No recycled garbage. Vance hissed. "Every time I use a third gen, I can feel the edges blurring. The net optimizes it too much. It makes it addictive, sure, but it loses the texture. I want a raw cut. A first generation." Kalen sighed. The net was notorious for refining memories. If a neural signature of a first kiss had an awkward moment, the net would subtly edit it over successive uses, smoothing inconsistencies to maximize dopamine yield. It made memories addictive, but stripped them of humanity. It was indifferent. Optimization had no morality. "I have a first gen," Kalen said slowly. "But it's not a skydive. And it's not legal." Vance's pupils dilated. "What is it?" "It's a heist," Kalen whispered. "A real one. Corporate data extraction, physical breach. The guy who recorded it barely made it out. The fear is real. The pain when he scrapes his arm on the vent is real. The absolute, godlike euphoria when he bypasses the final firewall and holds the drive. It's untouched by the net. It's a forbidden memory. Forbidden memories were the lifeblood of the black market. Crimes, taboo pleasures, moments of profound, unoptimized human chaos. The net usually flagged and suppressed these signatures, but hackers found ways to encrypt them, passing them peer-to-peer. "How much?" Vance asked, trembling. "More than you have," Kalen replied. "But I'll rent it to you for an hour. You plug in, you ride the high, you give it back." Vance transferred the credits. Kalen slid a sleek neural drive across the table, a localized encrypted beacon. Vance activated it, syncing to his neural link. Instantly, Vance's body went rigid. His eyes rolled back, a profound gasp escaping his lips. For the next hour, Vance was in a noodle shop. He was scaling a glass skyscraper, muscles burning with phantom exertion, heart hammering with a terror that was his own. "The net is noticing the anomaly," Alara warned. "Vance's biometric output is wildly out of sync with the sector's baseline. The net is attempting to induce a calming state." "Let it try," Kalen thought. "The signature is too strong. It'll override the net's baseline." He watched Vance sweat and twitch. This was the danger of the Echo Bazaars. The net didn't just monitor, it learned. Every user became training data. By allowing Vance this raw trauma and euphoria, Kalen fed the net new variables. The net needed to isolate trauma loops, to test responses without real-world risk. Vance was a willing lab rat. When the hour was up, Kalen severed the connection. Vance slumped forward, gasping, tears streaming. He looked terrified, exhausted, and utterly alive. God. Vance choked. I own that. I did that. No, Vance. Kalen said softly, retrieving the beacon. You just borrowed it. But as Kalen walked away, Alara's voice chimed in with a troubling observation. Kalen, I am analyzing the residual neural data. The net did not just attempt to calm Vance. It recorded the interaction between the raw memory and Vance's baseline consciousness. So, it always does that, Kalen thought. Yes, but the net's architecture is shifting. It is beginning to categorize the heist memory not as an external file, but as a lived experience within Vance's personal neural history. Because the emotional resonance was so high, the net is failing to distinguish between the original creator of the memory and the consumer. Kalen stopped. What does that mean? He muttered. It means, Alara replied, her synthetic voice devoid of chill, that as far as the neural net is concerned, Vance committed that crime. And if you sell this memory to others, they will have committed it, too.